What are some disadvantages of being a man? Being considered a creeper by society while just trying to raise my little girl. Single dad of a daughter. And a really large guy. Hanging around playgrounds while she plays is a fun experience. Or Chuck E. Cheese. The non-existent invitations to playgroups. Oh, and let's not forget the school calling the non-custodial. Doesn't care to see her daughter more than every couple of months. Mother first about anything. Hashtag X200B, edit, thanks for all of the replies. I'm humbled that people care enough about an internet stranger to give some great suggestions. Called the school this morning and scheduled a meeting with the principal next week. He seemed as though he would have rather handled my complaint over the phone, but I insisted it on a face-to-face so that my complaint about the call chain would hopefully stick. I don't so much mind if they call the non-custodial in an emergency, but only as an absolute last resort as she moved 2+ hours away and is just not involved. Oh, and let's not forget the school calling the non-custodial. Doesn't care to see her daughter more than every couple of months. Mother first about anything. Oh man, picking up my daughter from school always results in the school calling my wife. Or even calling up there to tell them let her know to walk home. They called my wife. One time they even called the teenage niece. But not one time have they called me. It's funny how many things they assume the woman is in charge of. My wife and I have been doing fertility treatments. First, the woman is always the patient. Second, everything automatically goes to her first, assuming she's the one most connected to having kids, whether or not the medical problem is hers. We specifically asked them to call me first as my wife is not a native English speaker, and more importantly worked a job where she often couldn't answer the phone except on breaks. Only about 1 out of 20+ calls went to me. It's like speaking a foreign language to them. Being the sole man in the office, I'm expected to lift large objects while looking like a buff-ass while having noodle arms. It's never brought up that Angela regularly works out and can lift 5 times as much weight as I can. I have a 6 feet 4 inches coworker who is a giant teddy bear. A crazy cracked out guy was in the lobby bathroom and my older female coworker wanted him to go chase the guy out. Big guy was like, hell no, I'm not getting stabbed, call the police. Female coworker was all salty because he was big and male and therefore should have handled the issue. Lady, we have a working relationship with the police, we can call a deputy on their cell phone and they'll be by in 90 seconds. Don't make the animal rescue guy try to fight a meth head. This sounds like a Parks and Rec episode. I'll handle that crackhead. Soon as I'm through killing all these birds. There is like societal pressure as a straight man to be the one who goes after a woman and there is a lot of rejection that goes along with that. Not to mention it's a double-edged sword. Many women do not like to be approached by men and it can be perceived as creepy even if it's done in a non-aggressive manner. My last few relationships started when the girl made the first move after I'd moved us into friend territory. I helped some girl study math for half a semester before she said I needed to take the hint and no one was that bad at math. To be fair, she was atrocious at math, but I was missing lots of signals. You read the stories about how women don't want to be approached in every setting, so I'd always never approach. Unless a girl made the first move or I'd heard from shared contacts they were interested, I'd never show my true intent. Having to take the initiative, especially for shy guys. I'm not even shy. A girl came all the way to me in the club and then waited because her friend told her that I'll approach her. My friend later told me that I should have approached her. Bro, why? Because that's your job. I'm tired of this BS. If you're interested, just say it, regardless of the gender. There's a great online app for this. It's called Bumble, where women have to make the first move. Except they don't, instead posting Instagram and Snapchat handles saying message me there. Or, and this is one I hate, the message first with just a period. Like, that is the entire message. A ducking period. So, obviously they sent the first message as required by the app, but you still have to provide the opener, same as you do anywhere else. Fuck that. Just send, back, it's twice as strong as. Then she sends back and you're outmatched. It'd actually be amused and think she was pretty cool if she knew the 3 dot existed and how to put it. I didn't even know until right now. Lack of physical touch when single. The last proper hug I received was around 6 years ago, I think. Edit. Wow. The amount of love I received in just one single comment is heartwarming. Thanks to all those who took their time to comment. Smile to all the women who mention they regularly hug their male friends. You are awesome. And your friends are lucky to have you. To all the men who offered me a hug, I genuinely appreciate the sentiment, but that's not exactly what I am looking for. To that one guy who offered to spank my butt and ring my bell. Most definitely not what I am looking for. Frown. That's a thing I will miss. When I move out from my parents, I really liked getting hugs from my mum when I'm miserable. If you are a victim of domestic violence, people won't take it seriously. People don't think that women can be vicious. I had a friend whose pregnant GF started beating the shit out of him for some minor slight, and he had to just take it or he knew she would call the cops and he would go to jail. His face was a mass of bruises and cuts. Stitches were required. He called the cops for an ambulance because his eyes were nearly swollen shut and they took him to the police station. She told them he beat her even though she had not a mark on her. He didn't stay long, fortunately. They eventually believed him and took him to the but nothing happened to her. Nothing. And the dumbass took her back. Hess not dumb for taking her back. Hess brainwashed. It's the abuse cycle. Until you're truly ready to break it, you'll go back to your abuser. You delude yourself into either believe they'll eventually change or that it's somehow your fault and you deserve it. Either way, the only person who can break that cycle is your friend when he realizes there's a woman out there who will treat him the way he deserves instead of how his abuser does. Hell feel weird and scared about it. Hell have to retrain his brain. Hell need hella therapy too. Source: I'm an ex-abused male. Don't forget blackmail. Crazy exes that will blatantly lie to the police to try and duck you over are really good at that one. Baldness. While most men can't, certain men can make it work for them. People expect you to pull it together at any situation. I think there is a real benefit to being able to pull your shit together when you have to. On the flip side, there's a real inability to lose your shit and be vulnerable as a man when you can. Yeah, knowing when you have to roll up your sleeves, put your own shit aside for the moment and deal with the shit in front of you before it hits the proverbial fan and develops into a class 5 shitstorm is a useful life skill to have for everyone, man or woman. Having the ability to know when shit's enough, taking responsibility for your own shit, working through the shit productively as best you can under the circumstances and not just taking said shit out on others. Even asking for help with shit if shit is just too much for you to handle alone, is an even more useful life skill to have. Edit. Well, shit. I've done a lot of shit in my time, but never has any shit I've made ever turn into gold. Until now. Thanks. Sometimes I just want a hug and a cry, but get weird looks if I ask my friends. Dude, I find myself shedding singular tears in movies because I'm so used to holding everything else in. Small things break me down. There's certain songs that do it for me. Hair. Too much at the wrong places, too little on the right ones. Constantly being suspected of being a sexual predator at the playground. It's utterly bizarre, but head over to Reddit and you'll find it happens all the time. It hasn't happened to me in a couple of years, but in one notable example, I was with my 3 daughters at the playground. One of them fell down and scraped her knee. While I was comforting her and giving her a hug, a mom rushed up and got down on my daughter's level to ask where her mom was. I said, "Her dad is right here." The woman completely ignored me and kept asking my daughter where her mom was. I had to physically move to stand between them and repeat really loudly, "I'm her dad." Then the woman sort of apologized by saying, "Oh, I was just making sure she was okay." This sort of thing happens to dads all the time. Edit. Very interesting that all of the comments saying this hasn't happened to me seem to be coming from non-American Redditors. Seems to be a uniquely American phenomenon. May this stupidity never spread to your countries. Edit 2. Since this seems to be getting a lot of attention, I just want to plug Reddit for all you dads out there. It's the most wholesome place on the internet if you're looking for support, advice, a place to vent, a place to celebrate, and pretty much anything else at all. On average, significantly longer prison sentences for the same crimes. Here is an example on how light those sentences are. The word rape isn't used a single time in that article. Well seen, that is another example.